G'day, hi, and welcome from the helm of the Silver Pit.
Alright guys, here we go.
So, in my last video I kind of explained that I was going to try doing some new stuff on the channel. I got about 15 minutes before I start cutting the grass here. And this is basically going to be kind of like, probably the last grass cut I do here for the season. And I'm a guy, just to give you some perspective for those of you that might be new to the channel, I'm a guy that drives around in this wonderful 2004 Honda Civic here called the Silver Pellet. The most awesome car that's ever been. Some say Chuck Norris had to open a pop bottle one day, and he took the cap off, chewed it up a bit, spit it out, and on the ground landed the Silver Pellet. True story. But I want to talk about perspectives today, because everybody likes to blame this generation, that generation. I'm Gen X, right? And I see the problems in all the generations. Like, my generation wasn't flawless, but I would say my generation probably had it better than most generations ever. And like the boomers had the wealth thing. That's what they had. They had that, and there's other things they had too. Us Gen Xers, we had the socialization thing. Like, there's no generation that's better socialized than Gen X, just because of how we grew up. The millennials, they had, things start falling very, very early on, but the millennials, they had the technology thing really down. And Gen Z and Gen A, they have that. But so those are the positives. The negatives was, and this goes back before World War II. Before World War II, okay, and like even like say in the 1800s, early 1900s, you had a lot of people living in extended family situations. Right now, we didn't really have the same type of technology, and people had to be a lot more resourceful. And even the people with the money, still, the technology wasn't foolproof. You know what I mean? Like, so you couldn't. Everybody kind of lived that around the same age. You know what I mean? Like back in the 70s when I was a kid, to have somebody die in their 40s and 50s was, it was common, but not super common. Most people lived, 60, 70, whatever. A lot of men died early, and that's always been the way it is. Men work themselves into an early grave. Get killed on the job more, blah, blah, all that stuff. We know about all that. Right? But the people, like, say, from World War II to the 1970s were healthy. In general, they were more healthy. The downside was from the 1960s to the 1970s is you had a lot of drug culture come in, which was new in history. Like, that anywhere in the world. Like, drug culture, yes, drug culture goes back, if you want to go, like, in the sense of tribal stuff and all that, right? So that was different, ritual stuff, whatever. But as just recreation, I'm a rebel, I'm a hippie, blah blah blah. I'm just gonna get high for the sake of getting high, and try to make it fashionable. That was really the 1960s on, right? Which was a very, very bad thing. Drug culture is a bad thing. Marijuana is bad. All drugs are bad. If you don't need it, don't take it. Every drug is a gateway. Alcohol is bad. It's all bad, right? And you have to learn everything in moderation. The problem is we live in a society of overabundance in anything. And if it's particularly bad for you, it's an extreme abundance. Like, what could go wrong, right? And I know there's people out there that will try to argue to the death why this drug is okay and this drug is not, right? But I'm like, your body was never designed to take drugs. And people used to understand that, and even if they understood it from, say, more of a biblical perspective or whatever, or maybe they were more naturalist, whatever it would be, it doesn't really matter. They understood that you can't be screwed up 24/7. Maybe you can have a glass of wine once in a while, or get drunk once in a while, fine. Maybe you toke something once in a while, maybe, okay? They understood that, but you had to function in society. You had to go to work, you had to do all the, you had to function in your family, all that stuff. And then there's always been the drug addicts. There's always been the crazies. There's always been that. So around the 1960s, we still have insane asylums. We still have, even the people that would do drugs would be looked down upon a little bit. You know what I mean? We still had the remnants of the extended family. The nuclear family was becoming the dominant. And a lot of people you will hear say we need to go back to the nuclear family. No. The nuclear family was already the fall from grace. Like, we need to go back to the extended family. And if you don't understand the difference between extended family and nuclear family, I'll probably cover it in later videos. But for now, I just want people to kind of get an idea of how we're in the situation we are. So drug culture, all that stuff, libertarianism, even if it wasn't really called libertarianism, liberalism, we'll call it that, really starts making, like a real big stir in the world. But it's all center-railed. Like, everybody's a centrist for, say, most of the 1970s, 1980s, whatever. You get into the 90s, everybody's a centrist. And that arrives to my era. Everybody's a centrist. Pick a topic, any topic, almost nobody wants to rock the boat, everybody's a centrist. And then somewhere in the early 2000s, we start seeing extreme moves to the left, where the centrists are still the centrists. The conservatives, they move slightly left towards the center, but the left starts moving very radically left. Just that way, right? And going this way, the other left, right? And before you know it, by the time we're in the 2010s, the cultural war people are laughing at all these crazy far left people, but then by 2014 on, we start realizing these people that are now grown up in an entirety of crazy ideas are now in charge of the entire system. What could go wrong, right? And that's where we're at today. And of course, it's the boomers' fault because they took all the wealth. No, it's the millennials because they're slackers, blah blah blah, and Gen Z, they're completely confused, blah, and it just goes on and on. And it's just this big blame game, right? And then you've got like the rise of third wave now into fourth wave feminism, which I think is the burnout phase of it. I'm already seeing signs of that. But what coincides with the burnout phase of feminism is the rise of the red pill, the manosphere, the MGTOW people, guys, whatever. And they're just the other side of the coin to the feminists, most of them. They get offended when I say that. I do pick on the MGTOW guys a lot because even though some of the observations are really good, their conclusions are completely wrong. And the thing is, they don't even follow their own advice for the most of them. So, I'll explain that in other videos. But the thing is that the perspectives now people have to be. You have to take perspective in relative to what. So, a cousin of mine came up to me about 2 weeks ago. I was doing a little gig in the town here. Had a lot of fun, whatever. And he comes up to me, he goes, "Reg, have you ever woke up in a bad mood?" I said, I started thinking about it. Not that I can recall, like it's just something that doesn't, it doesn't occur. I'm very rarely in a bad mood. But he goes, "How?" And I go, "Well, it's very simple. I keep my standards low, so I'm never disappointed." I'm what you would call a stoic. The world just is what it is. It's bad here, it's bad there because it is. Accept it for what it is, right? Does that suck? Absolutely. Do I want it to be that way? Absolutely not. But it is what it is. So how do you learn to live around the madness, right? So this is where we're going to start our journey here for this segment of whatever. I don't know how many videos I do. I like to do a video a day for you if I can. I like making videos. They're all low-tech videos. Don't expect big productions because I think the message is always more important than the man anyway. But what I would say, and I got to wrap this up anyway, is that a lot of people's perspectives have gone wrong back. And I need to kind of get people thinking, learning how to think, rather than just reacting to everything. All right. So anyway, we'll go into the next